Hello, hello. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Select the window, screen one. Allow. Okay, so we are live. And let's go here. Type show link to drop your link. Okay, we got some buffering here. This is slow as a dog. Type. Wow, is it ever slow? Show link to drop link. Okay, so here, let's refresh this and see what it's doing. And let's watch that. Hello, hello, hello. JFC TV, thank you for coming by. Okay, yeah, we've got sound. Let me just turn the sound off on this phone so we don't get an echo. I appreciate you coming by, and let's see if we can figure out how to make a video of a cooking video. So I want to open this on this computer here. A cooking video. So let's turn off that sound so we don't get multiple layers of sound. We'll sign in there. Let's see what YouTube is doing to us here. And password, that's a good question. I wonder if that's the right password. That's an excellent password. Okay, so let's move this guy out of the way. So what we're going to do is we're going to, what are we going to do? We're going to do a video of beef chowmein. So it's a bit similar to our other chowmein videos, but it's got some unique elements to it. Okay, so this looks okay on a phone. I always worry this is being recorded on a computer, and always wonder what it looks like on a phone because so many people are on their phone. I prefer the computer myself. Hey, San Diego, let's make you a mod. I'll try to remember this as we're going along. Oh, is this ever slow? But I guess it's Sunday night and the internet is slow. Save, we're there. Okay, so let's cook. Let's start Premiere Pro. So we're going to do this in Premiere Pro. And there's our good friend Premiere Pro. And let's create a new project. And it's going to be called Steak Chow Mein. Okay. All kinds of sounds in the background here. We'll just ignore them. So we'll create this project. And then we're going to, in Adobe Premiere Pro, everything that's fun happens in a sequence. So let's create a new sequence. And we're going to give it the same name as, same name as the, there. So now we've got a sequence, and it was a HD sequence. Hey, Stitching It Up, thank you for coming by. Really appreciate that. We're going to share how I edit a cooking video and see if any of it makes any sense to anybody. And if anybody has suggestions, then I will take them under advisement. Because there's always different and sometimes better ways of doing things. Okay, so we've got our Premiere Pro sequence here, and we're going to bring into that the footage for this episode. So there's what, how many? 39 items, 35 clips. We're going to select them all, and we're going to bring them in to the media bin. Pardon me, got a bit of an allergy going on here. Let's put this out of the way so we can see what we're doing here. Hey, Caesar Mocha, thank you for coming by this episode of Sailing Cook George, which is really George edits a video. Okay, so we want them in the order that they were shot in. So let's change the sequence here. And we're starting off at 302, 303, all the way to the end. And we're going to bring that in. I need to just check to see one of these clips I don't really want to use. I don't want 343, 44. So let's take 344 out of the sequence. 344, 350. What's going on here? Okay, we'll take it out later. And let's put this onto the timeline. And the timeline is an HD timeline because HD is good enough for. Hey, Willie, thanks for dropping by my how I edit videos. So an HD timeline is good for TikTok and YouTube, in my opinion, my humble opinion. Although I notice some videos I get a very large percentage, 30-40% of the views are people watching it on a TV. And I'm going to have to watch one of these on a 4K TV and see if HD looks acceptable. So we're going to keep the existing settings. And now what we want to do is we want to find this clip here. That is the wrong one. That doesn't belong to this episode. So let's give this a chance. Okay, there we're cutting something. Okay, and there. Oh, what's going on? Oh, maybe I didn't bring that clip in then. Okay, so we don't have to worry about that. Okay, so this is our timeline. This was shot in the order that. Hey, Marijuana Marianne, thank you for coming. This was not a board. This is in my basement studio when I'm working on my next editing my next video that should be going live tomorrow. So, hey Willie, yeah, I don't have any good background music. I wish I did. I love the stuff that you play. Although in the last few, all you've had is bird songs. So, but bird songs are good too. Here, all we're going to have is the sound of sizzling. And hopefully I'm going to, yeah, this is definitely safe for work. It's just food. And, okay, so we've got, I don't know how many clips, 34 clips. I lied when I said how many there was a minute ago. It says 39 less 38, 37, 36, 35. So it's 34 clips. And I try to keep my clips very short because it makes the file size manageable. And I don't, let's say something spaghetti is cooking for 8 minutes. We don't need 8 minutes of the cooking, although I notice a few people are doing that because it's good for watch hours. And, but I try to keep everything in like 30 to 40 second range, under a gigabyte with the camera that I'm using, because it's easier that way to abandon the shots that you don't want, as opposed to having a 2 minute shot and you only need 5 seconds of it. we wasted all of this computer storage. And the drive that this is working on is a 4 terabyte drive, and it is almost full. And I've been too lazy to replace the drive. I bought a new one, but I haven't replaced it. So what I want to do while I'm organizing this is also think of the sequence I want the final video to be in. And it's a sequence that I've used in a few, and I'm happy with it. I guess the biggest thing that I don't like is people abandon me too quickly. 30% of my viewers are gone at a minute out of a 10-minute video, and I don't know how to entice people to stay longer. I know people that do music. People will hang around for a long time, like Willie's a Desert Hangout. That is a beautiful show. Stitching it up when you're watching your dogs. I guess you're always curious as to what the dog's going to do next. When you're looking at a cooking show, do you lose interest because he's using green onion instead of red onion? Or is it that you clicked on it expecting more excitement, and all you're getting is some guy cutting up onions? So let's go back. So this is the shot of the finished dish, and me trying to use chopsticks, which is not always successful. It doesn't seem to work too badly here. So we're going to take this clip and we're going to duplicate it, and I'm going to move it to the beginning because we want people to see what the end product is. So, and let's see. So I like that. I couldn't pick up a piece of meat probably. This is steak chowmein, and I didn't do that good a job, did I, of picking up a piece of meat? Okay, yeah, wooden stick. It sort of worked. Picking up a piece of broccoli is a bit more boring, but it will. It's a better action sequence because of the fact that I actually managed to pick up a piece of noodle and a piece of broccoli. Okay, so there's a piece of broccoli. Let's see how many seconds that is. That is 8 seconds. Not too bad in terms of will people get bored of watching me picking up a piece of broccoli. Okay, so that's the finished product. Now, the other thing I want to do at the beginning, I've tried this in the last couple of movies, is thumbs up is really appreciated, guys. It'll make YouTube happy. So let's get a shot of the cooking. Where is cooking? It's here. Okay, the noodles. Maybe this one here. Now, this was recorded in 4K. And we're editing in HD, so everything is 2 times as big. The source video is 2 times as big as the portal into it. So let's make this a little bit smaller, and we're going to make it a little bit, center it. And is that a good shot of? Yeah, there we are. So we're going to have this. Let's see if we can find. No, I don't want that onion thing. I want. Okay, so there's a nice shot of the cooking process. So let's duplicate that, and we're going to eliminate the soundtrack because at this point it's just the introduction. And I'm just to mention something. I only have an hour available because I got to deal with something else later this evening. And in that hour, I think we're going to get the whole timeline built, and we're going to select a bit of music to put in there. But we're not going to have the voiceover describing the ingredients in the process. Okay, so let's see. There's a nice thing there. So, and this image is a little dark. And we want like about 5 or 6 seconds. So there's 7 seconds. That's good. It's a little dark, and we're going to end up with what Adobe calls an adjustment layer over top of this that will brighten it up and make it a prettier picture. Okay, so that's the move those together. So that's sort of our introduction. We're going to show that, and we're going to have some words under that talking about beef chow mein with chow mein noodles and with the nice green color of broccoli. I'm not a great fan of broccoli, to be quite honest, but I do think it's pretty. Okay, so now in real life, I started doing this with the cutting up the onion, and then we cut up some green onion, and then I cut up some broccoli. But those are not the interesting parts of the meal, right? The steak is really the interesting part of it. So let's move the steak to the beginning, and people will then introduce it, and I'll say something like the hero ingredient is okay, and we're going to soak that meat and add a bit of cornstarch and let it sit, right? So these clips all belong at the beginning. Let's move them over there. I know last time I had this conversation with somebody. Hey, Abby Ang, yeah, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Let's make you a mod as well. Network as you wish. The compared using DaVinci Resolve to Premiere Pro, and I've worked with Resolve. I've got Resolve on this computer, but I've had much more experience with Adobe. I've had versions of Adobe since probably version 2. When we had not coaxial RCA connectors coming from the back of our camera, and we either had RGB connector from the back of the camera or a YC camera connector to the chroma and the luminance. And we've come a long way with MP4 videos from a phone. I use a phone for some of this. The phone, this is a Samsung 21. It's a previous, the one previous generation. And Abby, I didn't add you as a moderator. I didn't click hard enough, I guess. Click, hello, click, save. There you are. Pardon me, pardon my coughing. I can't do much about it. So I like Premiere because I know where everything is, and we can be pretty fast. So I'm going to, I think you can hear, so you can hear some of the sound recorded by the camera. Oh yeah, I was talking about the camera. So the camera is a 5-year-old Olympus OEM5 with a 50 to 125 lens, or maybe 12 to 125 lens. That is pretty good, and the quality of its files is 50% better than the quality of the similar file from my phone. The compression is better, and the codec is better now. MP4, the codec is sort of the same, but the compression can be changed. So the compression of that is better. Hey, Rustic Rich, welcome to my. We're not aboard the boat. We're in the basement studio. So I like the files from the Olympus better. The other difference between the Olympus and the phone is that I can more easily change various settings on the phone. I can change the f-stop, I can change the ISO, I can change the shutter speed. It's possible on the phone in pro mode, but it takes so many mouse swipes that I can never remember how to do it, and therefore I don't. On the camera, it's got a menu and it's got a few dials that do some of this stuff. And people talk about shutter speeds. So the rule of in cinematic movie making, as every cinematic movie maker, photographer on YouTube and TikTok will tell you, is the shutter speed should be double the frame rate. So this frame rate is 30 or 29.97. So the shutter speed should be 60. But I cranked the shutter speed higher. The shutter speed is 125th of a second. I'd like to go faster, but then it's too dark. And the advantage of the fast shutter speed is that the image is a bit crisper. We're not trying to do cinema. We're trying to do a how-to. And the other advantage is that each frame is pretty clear now in this kind of environment. And I learned that I was recording video sailing on the boat on a very wavy day. So the boat was bouncing up and down. And the stabilizer on the camera, the same camera, this Olympus, was sort of keeping up. Okay, stitching it up. Thanks for dropping by. I appreciate every minute, every watch hour. We'll come and check out your dogs. And I wanted to take some frames out of this thing, and it's all a blur because the lens is open too long for each frame. And the shorter the faster the shutter speed, the shorter the shutter speed, the clearer the picture is. And people talk about 4K, 8K cameras are able to extract a still from the video, and you end up with a good still. But if I was shooting a picture of spaghetti boiling, for instance, noodles boiling, my camera is set at 1/200th of a second for the flash. So, and that freezes the action beautifully. If I had movements like a person moving, I'd go to 1/500th or 1/1000th. Sailing, I've realized that I should be at 1/2000th in order to get nice crisp waves and no motion. I learned this the hard way also with airplane pictures. So you get this airplane landing at 150 miles an hour. And if you rely on your camera's auto settings, it's going to set the shutter speed at something like 1/60th or 1/100th of a second. And all you get is a blur. Blur is not what we're looking for. So the fast shutter speed allows me to go into this video and grab a picture, a frame grab, let's say, of this cooking here. And I've got a blog on WordPress that is being populated with each of these recipes. And eventually it'll be a cookbook. My friend Steve Weir thinks there's a cookbook in here. And I'm not about to tell him otherwise, because if he can generate a cookbook with my input, then I'm quite happy with that. I do take good still shots with the flash and a good camera of various stages of the cooking process. Let's just find one here. Let's see here. So here is a still of this dish, and it's pretty clear. So this was taken at 1/200th of a second, probably ISO 100 f/22 on a Canon R5. So it's a very good picture for a book, for instance. But I've also taken other shots, still shots of other dishes, recipes. So let's go find that. Let's just very quickly zoom back. And where's one that we had? Spamberger, I think. Yeah, that one had stills that have been published on the WordPress site. So here is this is a still. We need a still out of the video. So here, well, here's one. So this is spam frying, and the image is crisp and clean. It's a little bit dark. It hasn't been processed yet. Let's see if we can find another dish that, and I may not be successful. Beef Mongolian. I think that had images that were used out of the video. Let's see if we can find one here. Okay, I'm going off on a tangent here, looking for something that I can't remember what. Cabbage rolls. Did cabbage rolls get still? No, we didn't get a still out of that. Okay, we won't waste time on that, but maybe we'll talk about that as a separate issue. But this is even this is pretty clear. I see a little bit of blur because I'm moving the spoon around, but yeah. So fast shutter speed is important. Again, we're not telling a love story with mood lighting. Yeah, thanks, Rustic. I do appreciate every minute of everybody's time. It's busy, and especially if you're at work. I guess if you can slip it in while you're working is really great. Anyway, so let's see. So we got here at the beginning. Do I like this? How long is this clip? This clip is 33 seconds. We don't really need 33 seconds of meat slicing. Okay, so let's cut it off. The meat is done there. So the voiceover says that we're going to cut it sideways to make bite-sized pieces. And we're going to cut that there. And we'll leave it as it is. So we don't need that. Okay, we're going to get rid of that piece. We're going to keep this. So we want to, because I'm doing it a little bit out of sequence from how you would actually cook this, and I don't want to keep moving the camera back and forth from a frying pan to my cutting board. I'm, hey, marijuana, yeah, listen away. Appreciate everybody's time. So here, the meat ends up sitting in a plate for a few seconds, for a few minutes while I'm doing something else, and it doesn't really add much to the recipe in terms of telling people how I made it. That I put it aside. I think I just lied, because this one we're going to marinate the meat. So how long is this meat going into the bowl? It is 4 seconds. 4 seconds. Good. You know, if you watch TV, 3 seconds is a long clip. If you watch commercials, 1 second is a long clip. The amount of movement that you'll get jumping back and forth. But here, let's say we cut up the meat, and now we're going to measure out a tablespoon of oyster sauce. So I decided I wanted to try oyster sauce. I'd never used oyster sauce for anything before. And I'm sorry, that's not oyster sauce. That is soy sauce. I guess the oyster sauce will be later. Okay, and we want to cut on the action because nobody wants to watch an empty spoon there. So we'll cut there. Where's my oyster sauce? Oh, the oyster sauce is, oh, here's my oyster sauce. There it is. Okay. So this is oyster sauce from a major grocery chain. And there was only one brand in this store. If I'd gone to an Asian grocery store, Chinese grocery store, I might have had different flavors of oyster sauce. Of course, you can't try them in the store, so how would you know which one you like better? The thing about oyster sauce in terms of taste is it's salty. Oysters suggest fishy, but it's not fishy. So I'm not 100% sure why there are oysters in oyster sauce, but I'm not going to argue with the people that invented that. Okay, we want some action coming into this shot. So again, when I'm planning my shots, I've got intros and extros in the shot as I'm bringing the dish into focus, and now I'm going to pour it in the thing, the spoon, and I'm going to dump it into my sauce, and I'm going to again end my clip on some action. So I don't want to sit there and have nothing happening on the screen. The reason it's called a motion picture is because things are moving. So there. Now we're going to pour that in. We're going to get that. We're going to mix that around. And let's make this a bit smaller again. Because it was shot in 4K, I've got a lot of options for cropping and centering that sort of overcome issues in shooting it. You know, video people talk about fixing it in post. Well, fixing it in post-production. Here we are fixing this in post-production. Okay, so we've got our oyster sauce. In the end, do I think oyster sauce added a lot of value to the taste? I don't think so. I think it added saltiness. The bottle of oyster sauce cost me $5. I could have just put in a bit of salt, and I might have had the same beneficial effect on my taste as adding oyster sauce. But I wanted to try it, and now I've got a bottle of it. I'm going to have to use it up. From a boat point of view, oyster sauce really wants to be refrigerated after it's opened. So that does become an issue. Soy sauce will live for years without being in a fridge, at least the soy sauce that we're buying here in North America. And that's important if you're on a boat or an RV that doesn't have a fridge, or doesn't have a big fridge that you can save all of your ingredients in. So oyster sauce is you buy it and you use it, and then you throw it out, which is a bit of a waste. Okay, so here we are. Here we are with now we're mixing. Oh no! So now we're going to add a bit of flour to this mixture because we want it to thicken a bit. And in hindsight, I think we put in a bit too much flour. I think I put in a whole tablespoon. So I'm going in my ingredient list. I'm going to put. I'm going to say half a tablespoon. I think we used a bit more than necessary. So we're going to mix that up, coat the meat well, and again, we've got how much time? We've got 32 seconds of mixing the meat. We don't really need. Hey, Lucy Warren's World, welcome to my how I edit cooking videos. Any feedback that anybody has on how I might do things differently, quite willing to take it under advisement. So there we are. Now that's mixed up. And now we're 1 minute and 52 seconds into this. There's a bit of an empty space here, but we'll put something else there later on in titles. 1 minute 52 seconds into this. I think we've got some things that are interesting. So when I was talking earlier about not having people abandon the video early, the meat is the main ingredient, in addition to the chow mein noodles, of beef chow mein. So by putting that at the beginning, even though in real life, when I recorded this, I chopped the onion first, partly because when you chop an onion, the cutting board is still nice and clean. When you chop a piece of meat, the cutting board turns a bit reddish, and I didn't want that. It looks messy. Okay, so now we're going to cut our onion because why not? It's time for an onion. This camera, the first 8 frames, so that's a quarter of a second, less than a quarter of a second, at 30 frames per second. Yeah, quarter of a second. It doesn't pick up the sound, and I do want to have the sound of all of this good activity. Okay, again, we're going to cut on action. So the knife is still moving. We don't want this part here where nothing's happening. Nobody wants to look at an empty screen. It doesn't bring any value to the story. Okay, now because we've got all of this real estate with 4K source video, we can move it up. We can center it a little bit, and basically that means I don't have to spend time fiddling with the camera to deal with. Hey, Abby the Explorer. Oh, you're back. Yeah, fiddling with the camera when I can fiddle with the image after the fact. Okay, so let's cut that off. We only need 4 seconds of this. I've sort of set myself that standard of 4 seconds of fiddling with the bowl of the ingredient. Now, so this, what did I say? This was 36 seconds. So 36 seconds of cutting an onion is kind of boring. And people have told me that I don't do a very good first-class chef's cutting of things. I apologize. So what we're going to do is we're going to speed it up a bit so as not to bore people. And we're going to speed it up to 160% of original time. So it went from, what did I say, 38 seconds to 22 seconds. Still 22 seconds of watching onion slicing is kind of boring. Interestingly, Adobe make this, the soundtrack still sounds good even though it's been speeded up. I don't know how they do that. And then later on, when I see how long the whole program is, because we're aiming for about 10 minutes, we can make this even shorter or allow it to be a bit longer. So let's move this close together. Now, I don't believe in a lot of fancy transitions. I just want to cut things. Very rarely will I do a dissolve or a fade between two scenes. And that's really if I've got a jump cut. So the camera or the scene moved just like a quarter of an inch and it looks like somebody jiggled the camera. Then I'll do something like a fade. The only other transition that I use in these projects, and this is a cross, what Adobe calls a cross zoom, which I think is kind of cool. It well, let's put one in here just to play with it. It's not actually going to stay in here, but so cross zoom is one of its video transitions. Where did it go? It didn't go in the right place. Let's take it out, and we'll put it. Make sure it crumbs both. So now we're coming along here and we're cutting and zooms to the next scene. So I like that. It's a little bit dramatic. It's, again, one of the only ones that I like. I see people do photo slideshows. I'm part of a photo club. I see these photo slideshows that people do with ShowPro Gold. So ShowPro Gold is a program that turns photos into videos, and I think it has like 120 different transitions. So there's this checkerboard and a swirl and a twirl and a clockwise twirl, and I see people use every different transition that's in the program, and I spend more time now. Again, I'm biased because I'm looking at it with my video editor hat. I'm looking at every transition saying, my God, I would not have done that. The transitions are calling them the attention to themselves more than the images themselves. Okay, so here I had a bit of a sad green onion. So I'm going to dump this this clip. I've got way too much time cutting a green onion. And it's a sad green onion. It was really just one green onion instead of a nice bunch of green onions, but it's all that I had. And I really just wanted to get the green in there. So I'm going to eliminate this clip. I'm going to say, show me the clip. I'm going to delete it. It's clip number 304. You're gone. Do I really want to delete it? Yep, you're out of there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take the clip out of my, what number did I say it was? It's a mystery. It's the first of these 304. I'm actually going to remove it from here because I don't want to keep clip sides decided or a junk, but so I can change my mind. I just rename it. It's out of the way. And now I'm going to use this one because I'm embarrassed a little bit with the quality of my green onion. I'm going to make this as short as I can. Let's take out a few seconds here. And even though at 4K, I should have zoomed in more. I didn't. So we're just going to make it a bit bigger in the editor. Now, normally that makes it fuzzier because you're doubling the number of pixels, but this is still acceptable. It's green. It will convey the message that we're going to add green onion to this mix. So now we are going to, what do we got? Oh, broccoli, yeah. So chow mein doesn't call for broccoli, but I wanted a bit of color. And broccoli is a nice green color. So let's see what we're doing with this broccoli. We're going to cut it up in little pieces. Again, we've got probably more of it than we need. And cut on the action. So this is 21 seconds of broccoli. We're just going to speed it up again, not as much as I did for the meat. So let's just go 140%. But that makes it a bit of excitement to the extent that broccoli can be exciting. Let's make it fill the screen a bit better after we had that sad green onion. This is a decent bits of broccoli crown. Okay, we're going to put that into a dish as well. Make that a bit smaller. Oops, let's see, is it going in the dish? I didn't plan that properly, so let's stop it there. Again, we only want 4 seconds. Where's 4 seconds? There is 4 seconds. So we're going to come in here, scrape it off the board. That's good. How are we doing for time here? I'm probably going to have to abandon this before we get through all of the clips. And what have we got here? Oh, I guess I did that twice because I didn't like what I did there. Is this a better version of this? I think it's a better version. Let's make this 4 seconds. 4 seconds, 5, 4. You can see the little 4-second marker coming off to the side. And we're going to abandon this guy in the same way we abandoned the other clip. We don't want it cluttering up the project. And in the end, I don't want it cluttering up the hard drive. It's clip number 307. Delete it. Do I want to delete it from the timeline? Yes, I do. Let's go find it here. 307. There you are. Rename you little guy. And it's gone. So now, what's next? We'll bring that closer together. And let's bring this in here so we can see it on the screen. What are we making? Oh, so there's some beef broth. Now, I had my recipe when I started with this. And once this is all done, I'm going to go and write a new script and record the voiceover in the right sequence. So I'm going to say something like that. Okay, we're going to add. Okay, let's start with that. I never know whether I should show the ingredient or not. I'm a bit worried about copyrights because, of course, we got Campbell's here. We're taking advantage of their name. If this was on Meghan Markle's cooking show, then we wouldn't have all of the product names there. Okay, so we're putting beef broth, we're putting in soy sauce. Probably should have measured it. Oh yeah, we can measure it. So we got a quarter cup of beef broth. We're going to have a quarter cup of soy sauce. And we're going to put in a good sized dollop of oyster sauce. So the same things that we had to marinate the meat. Again, we're going to cut on the action. He's doing that. The bottle is coming up. That's a good place to cut that. And that brings us up to 3 minutes and 28 seconds. What happens next? Okay, now we're going to cook some noodles. So I target this as one pot cooking because on a boat, for instance, you don't have room for a lot of pots. And if you have 2 pots, then you have to clean 2 pots, and you don't have a lot of water for cleanup afterwards. And you don't want to pollute the water any more than necessary with your dishwashing water. So by having one pot, it reduces the effect on the environment. It reduces the need for space, and it actually saves you a bit of time because you only have to wash one pot. Okay, so this is bubbling, and we're going to probably say bring the water to boil. And let's make this a bit smaller so we can see more of the action in that HD frame. I guess I was wearing a red shirt there. I usually don't like wearing colors while I'm recording because you get a color cast. Okay, so this is 21 seconds, 19 seconds. So 19 seconds is probably long enough because I'm going to talk a bit about these lo mein noodles. What brand are they? So they're egg noodles, a different brand than are used in other recipes. They're wider, and I found them tastier than the other brand that I had bought. And like oyster sauce, there's more than one meal in there, so we're going to have several meals with this particular noodle. So we're going to put it in the water, and we're going to stir it around, break it up. Okay, we're going to start on the action. Or we're going to say something like stir it up and let this cook. These noodles take about 3 minutes to cook. Unlike spaghetti, which is 8 minutes for most pastas. Okay, so now we're going to cut up a piece of ginger root, fresh ginger. Fresh ginger tastes so much better and so much different than, pardon me, I just held my leg in a weird position. Better than ginger powder, ground ginger. And I love the taste. So we're going to peel off the outside, but we don't really need 10 seconds of peeling. How much peeling do we need? That's enough peeling. And then we're going to mince this piece of ginger. Let's take off the first 8 frames there because we don't want the sound to come in. And we're going to cut it into, there we are, that's really good. And we don't need the last part of it because it gets a bit messy. And we want to put that in the bowl as well. 4 seconds worth. There we are, 4 seconds, 3.5 seconds, 4 seconds. So that's a good angle. Let's bring it over to the left a little bit. Let's bring it up a little bit. And this guy, let's move him to the right a little bit. Again, the beauty of shooting in 4K and editing in HD, 1K. Oh, I guess HD is 2K, 1920. Okay, next, what do we have after that? Okay, the noodles are cooking. And then I guess we've mixed in the broccoli. Okay, so we're going to keep this noodles cooking. It's only 10 seconds. How long is it? It is 13 seconds. We're going to take out the head and a bit of the tail because it's kind of neat. Nah, it's boring as heck. We make it smaller so we see more of it. Still boring as heck. We don't need more than 5 seconds. And the reason I want to have a few seconds of this is I want to say something like After 2 minutes of the noodles cooking, we want to add the broccoli because the broccoli only needs a minute of this cooking. Do I need this? I don't know if I need this clip. Let's keep it for the time being because I always get rid of it later. Okay. So a bit of a close shot, then zoomed out a little bit, add the broccoli. There we are, stir it around. And here, this is the reason I added the broccoli. Look at that nice color of the green against the yellow of the noodle. Let's just hit save on this thing. This version of Adobe Premiere has only crashed once or twice in the last couple of years. Previous versions crash on a regular basis and be embarrassing when you lose hours of work. And they've got a recovery system, but it's a bit of a pain to navigate as well, where you have to find previous auto backups. So let's say, okay, we got that. We're going to mix it. Now we're going to stir it. And the voiceover will talk about the stirring. There we are. Let that cook some more. Yeah, we don't need that. We'll cut that off there. That's good. Next, what do we got? Now we got some more stirring. Okay, now we're going to take the noodles out. We don't need all of that. We'll just get a few seconds of this because basically the voiceover is going to say, when the noodles are done, put them aside. Okay, that's enough of this. It's actually messier than I had hoped it was going to be. Okay, that's good. Now we're up to 5 minutes and 28 seconds. So time-wise, it's looking good. Okay, we've cleaned the pan. And now we're going to put some sesame oil in the pan. Let's make it a bit smaller so we can see the bottle of sesame oil. And again, we want to start on some action. We don't really need to show the pan doing nothing for 10 seconds. That gives people enough time to get bored. And hey, Lucy Warrens, thanks for hanging around. I love the taste of sesame oil. It's what really makes this. It adds more value than the oyster sauce in terms of that Asian taste. What's this? Okay, we're gonna use some freeze-dried garlic because we're lazy. And if I'm looking at a boat, now garlic will keep forever on a boat. At the worst, it'll start growing. But freeze-dried garlic in a jar will keep even longer. The garlic that is in oil in a jar, I don't like. I don't like the taste. It gets moldy too quickly, and I just don't like it. So what are we doing here? So we're adding the ginger, and now we're going to add the meat, the marinated meat. And we got some good action there. Cut on the action. Who am I? Martin Scorsese. Action. And now, so that's 6 minutes. So here, the thing is, we want to brown all sides of the meat. And because the sauce that has been marinated in is brown, it's a bit hard to tell which piece you've got that hasn't been turned over yet. So let's do that. I'm going to leave the close-up. I like that close-up. It's nicely in focus. The fast shutter means that the motion of the spoon is very nicely defined. So we'll leave all of that. Okay, what are we doing? I think here. So we're going to come to here, and we're going to cut this here, and then we're going to keep the rest of this. Okay, so here I think we're adding a bit more I don't. This wasn't well planned, so we don't really see the bottle. So we're adding a little bit of sesame oil here because the oil got absorbed by the onions and the ginger, and we want it to fry nicely. We should have seen some of the bottle itself. Okay, that's here. Let's have a couple seconds of stirring, and see there's that good sizzling sound. And I keep all of these recorded room sounds in the video, because when I watch other people's videos, I like the sizzle because it really tells me that it's going to be good stuff. I mean, the sizzle isn't what makes it good, but the sizzle adds to the feeling of being there. Okay, so we're going to do that. And now we're going to, again, cut this here. So this is one long clip. Normally I would have made one clip for the flipping and another clip for the putting in of the bean sprouts. So let's make this shorter. And we're going to have a scientific measurement of a handful of bean sprouts. We're going to stop there. So the action is there. And we're going to make this crop in even more. Hello, where's the top of the image? So you can see it getting black at the top. So that's where it's too far down. And yeah, that's my shot of adding bean sprouts. And the voiceover will talk about the scientific measurement process that I've used for deciding how much bean sprouts. And I've decided I don't really like bean sprouts. So now we're going to stir this. Take out the first couple of seconds. And stir. And again, leave the action of closing the lid. Okay, so how long is this thing? 34 seconds. 34 seconds of watching this cook is probably too long. Okay, it starts off with no action, so we don't really want that. So let's get over a little more. So now we're down to 29 seconds. It may make this shorter later on. If you look here, if you can see this, this is the beginning of a clip. And these first 8 frames there's no sound. So when you bring these two together, and this is just this camera, sound, no sound. And I don't know why it does that. So I'm also not that interested in it. I can always afford to dump a quarter of a second. Okay, what am I doing here? Let's make this a bit smaller so we have... see, otherwise, if we didn't have that, so here, we're going along here, we have a jump cut. Because, we don't, because it didn't move. But changing the crop, the zoom, eliminates the issue of a jump cut, because suddenly the viewer is seeing it slightly differently. Okay, what are we doing here? Now we're pouring in that sauce mixture that we made of soy sauce and beef broth and oyster sauce. Again, we got a lot of good action. We're going to come to the end here. And in 3 minutes, I need to rush out of here. So now, what is this? This is just a close-up of the... What is this? This is a close-up of the bubbling. Yeah, we don't really need that. We don't really need the lid. Let's take the lid off. Hello, where's my lid coming off? Okay, let's leave this on here. So it gives us the impression, the viewer the impression that time has passed, because he's had time to take the lid off and put the lid back on. Okay, we got some bubbling. We're going to add the noodles. Does that make sense? Yeah, it makes sense. We're going to add the noodles. Nah, the meat bubbling is boring. Maybe if I'd been zoomed in even more. Okay, so now we're here. Put the noodles in, and let's make this again zoom out a bit so we have more of the action of the stirring of the noodles into the sauce. It's starting to look good. I can almost taste it now. That's a nice color of noodle there. Let's stop there. Okay, we're at 9 minutes and 28 seconds. Gonna mix it some more. We don't need that much because we do have enough time. And we're adding the green onion. A bit more mixing. Oops, let's cut on the action. There's some action. Okay, so now we're at 9 minutes and 44 seconds. We're going to serve it. Let's go here. Let's zoom way out here so we can see what's happening. Okay, come through here. Can we get down a bit more? Yeah, I like that. And we're going to serve that out, put it on a plate. We're going to do 2 grabs. And I'm cheating a little bit there because I'm looking for the pieces, so I'm not going to show that. Okay, that's good. How many seconds is that? It's only 4 seconds. That's too short, so let's make it a bit longer at the beginning. If I make it a little bit longer, now I'm up to 7 seconds. So 7 seconds is nice. There's action all along. That's good. What was happening at the end there? I was picking out pieces of meat that I'm going to put on top of the noodles to emphasize the fact that this was beef noodles without all of the sauce covering them up. Okay, so now we're putting in the green onion. I like that the way it is. And the green is a nice color. The green shows up nicer on the phone than it does on my computer. Green is always a problem with photography, in my opinion. Okay, we're up to 10 minutes. Okay, so we're going to put that on here. And this is the same clip we were playing with earlier that went to the beginning of the exercise. And let's see. So that's with chopsticks, we're doing that. And now we're going to eat it with a fork. So we're going to put it down on there. We're going to cut that because I have the chopsticks at the beginning. This might not work. This might give me a jump cut because of that fork. Okay, so you're going to watch this. Come along here. Okay, so then we get a fork. So we're going to put in a cross dissolve, a fade. Cross dissolve. And let's see if we like that any better. So that's sitting there. Yeah, looked good to me. It looked like the fork's been there all along. If you spend a lot of time looking at it, you say, how did the fork suddenly materialize? But and voiceover will say enjoy. So that is my edit. It is now 10 minutes. We have been talking for an hour, and we have accomplished what I was hoping for. I'm going to be recording I'm going to do the voiceover and adding music to this sometime tomorrow. I might do it while we're live. I might do it while we're live. So thank you very much for listening. I really appreciate that. I'm going to click end on my stream, and we'll see you all again. Tuesday we'll be on the boat at 7 p.m. Eastern, talking more generally. Maybe unbox an air fryer for the boat. So it'll be a small toaster oven style air fryer. That will be an unboxing video, but we will do the trial run of that on Tuesday, 7 p.m. Otherwise, I'll see you on on your own lives. Thank you very much for watching. Ahoy. Let me just get a screen grab of this. Save that. Save that. It's perfect. And that's all that I really want to do here now, right? Why don't we just very quickly copy this and start a new notepad, paste that in there. That's my chat transcript. And now we can end the stream. Thank you very much, guys. The stream is